Well, if it isn't and Natalie Portman. I mean, very nice. I'm going to ask the big question first. You're the Mighty Thor. Sorry, the Mighty Thor. How the heck did that happen?
I'm asking myself the same question.
Jane?
It's really one of the coolest opportunities I've ever had in my career, and I was so grateful when Taika came to me with the idea.
What are you wearing? I love it.
Because he couldn't have started writing the script without you being on board.
Right.
Because it's, no offense, Chris, all about you.
I don't know that the movie is. The movie certainly has a lot of things that it's all about.
So that's the ex-girlfriend, is it?
The old ex-girlfriend.
Jodie Foster.
Jane Foster.
The one that got away.
The one that got away.
That means escaped.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was really exciting that the creators of the comic book had this transformation of Jane Foster into the Mighty Thor, because that happened after I started the movies, so I had no idea that this was in store for her when I signed on initially.
What's it been like, 3-4 years?
8 years, 7 months and 6 days, give or take.
What about rewatching the older movies?
Another!
Did you find yourself sitting down and watching the original Thor?
No more smashing. Deal?
You have my word.
And maybe Thor: The Dark World?
I believe that fate brought us together.
Did you do any of that back catalogue research?
Well, it was fun to kind of get to see it through Taika's eyes, because he had such a good sense of humor about like how kind of nerdy and sciencey Jane always was, like always with jargon talk.
The lensing around these edges is characteristic of an Einstein-Rosen bridge.
It was fun to get to kind of obviously represent and remember, but also have fun with.
Well then, if it's color we need, let's bring the rainbow.
Bring the rainbow, was that a catchphrase or something?
She's only been a Thor for a minute. I mean, saving lives she's quite good at, but the rest of it, she needs work.
How many catchphrases have there been?
A lot.
You get to act with a cowl on, if that's the right phrase, the winged hat.
Yes.
What's the trick to cowl acting in your experience?
A lot of imagination, because there's a lot of, CGI in this movie. So a lot of the times it's on,
Magic, science.
but when you're filming, it's not on.
Interesting.
Yes.
Some of it is all a lie.
Mjolnir! You're back.
You've also got to sell the impact of the hammer, right?
Mjolnir!
Which is a slightly bizarre bit of pantomime. But how do you catch it, throw it? How's that done?
That was definitely a lot of coaching from the stunt team, and also from Chris, who was super helpful with his, of course, decade of experience catching and throwing an often invisible hammer.
What you up to, bro?
Go to daddy.
Come on in.
But it really takes you kind of to your childhood of really just going completely into your imagination and, interacting with things that aren't there.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You also see on the blooper reels, I'm obsessed with them, lots of Chris having the cape fly in his face, wind machines, the top of the hammer coming off. Sorry, Mjolnir. Any of that happened to you? Did you have any cape and face action?
I had quite a major... I haven't talked about this before. But I have to be careful not to spoil anything. I'll just say that there was a scene where I throw a weapon. And it was a rare situation where I had the weapon. And what you're supposed to do is, when you have the actual weapon and you're throwing it, is that when you're like kind of winding up for the throw, you drop it and then you imaginary throw it so that you don't hurt anyone. But I did not do that. And I threw it right at the camera, and the entire crew just went and ducked. And that was really embarrassing.
We've got a...
and thankfully no one was hurt. I should have led with that.
Yes, and hopefully not the camera either.
No one was hurt. Thank God. I don't throw that well.
But you had aim when you needed it.
But it went flying, yes.
Jane.
Sorry, I just needed to make sure you were real.
In the second film, For the Dark World,
I am. Jane,
there is another, speaking of bloopers, beautiful series of slaps where you and Chris cannot get the scene in the can.
Jane.
Why do you think it took so long to, I don't know, slap Chris Hemsworth?
Maybe I just wanted to keep doing it over and over again. And I was intentionally messing up.
Left. Right.
Yes.
Let's try left again.
Okay.
You've also got to do it with an angle. At the risk of being delicate, spoiler alert, you might be slightly shorter than Chris.
I am so much shorter than Chris.
And Tessa was talking about how, in an Australian, New Zealand accent, the decks
Yes.
have to go underneath you
Yes.
when you're suddenly 6 foot.
Yes. So Taika and the Marvel team made the very unusual decision of casting a 5'3" actress in the role of a 6 foot superhero,
I just want to say that was very, very impressive what you did back there.
which took them a few weeks to figure out how they were going to do.
It's just my first bad guy.
You never forget your first.
And then they came up with a very, technology forward solution of building me a deck or a platform
Uh-huh.
that would, we would do the scene in rehearsal. They'd figure out where I was walking, and then they'd build kind of a walkway for me out of this raised wooden platform. And if I got to the end and, the scene continued and the other characters would walk in a different direction, I couldn't go anywhere. I would just be stuck at the edge of my deck. And it provided months of entertainment for everyone because of Taika's accent that made it sound like he was talking about something else when he would talk about Natalie's deck.
We need Natalie's deck ready right now.
Yes, it was
Somebody get on that.
constant source of hilarity.
Chef's
Yes.
kiss. Love it. Speaking of bloopers again, you also, I think, am I right in saying, do a ton of wire work here?
Yes.
What can you tell me about the joy of being slung around a volume?
I loved the wire work. That's kind of the most fun because, you do your somersaults. We had some really good, I thought, good jokes around it that didn't make it in the film.
Oh, Taika.
But I think that's what happens when there's lots of good jokes all the time.
I want like an Anchorman second part situation where you've got Thor, Love and Thunder, but then there's a redux.
I'd love it. I mean, Taika did make a reference at the screening last night that, if it was cut, it's because it wasn't good enough and that no one should ever see it. So that kind of, damaged my confidence.
Yeah, encouraging stuff. Thank you for doing that after we shot the film. Great.
I'm totally from the future. I really need to talk to you.
We can talk.
You were also very briefly in Endgame, and I gather they used old footage.
Yes.
Don't you kind of love how you were in, at one point, the biggest film of all time? And I believe credited, and you didn't even have to turn up to work.
I really appreciated it. And yeah, it was a great gig.
What mementos have you kept from this movie, but also from your previous appearances in the Marvel Universe? Have you...
I didn't keep anything from the older ones, which is a shame. I wish I had.
Yeah.
But on this one, I did get to keep my practice hammer, which was very useful.
Your practice hammer.
Yes, the stunt team gave me one that I could practice with at home, which was like a nice padded one, which is great because my kids use it. And because it's padded, it's much safer for them to use against each other, which is, the weapon of choice in our house.
So you're walking around your home saying, now you've got to put your shoes and socks on. I mean, I'd find it quite intimidating, frankly.
Yes, absolutely. It's definitely a good way to get them to listen, right?
You also have this incredible series of moments with the Russell Crowe, as I'm calling him, using, I think at one point he was doing a received pronunciation voice, and then he was also doing this broad, brilliant Greek voice as well.
Let's see who you are. I take off your disguise. And flick.
Oh, you flicked too hard, damn it!
Did you ever crack up? I know you're a professional, but there must have been moments.
You know what's so funny? So much of that was filmed separately. So I was sadly not in the room.
This is like Star Wars all over again.
It was really sad. I really love what he did, but it was also a great surprise when I saw the film, because then I got to see all the brilliance that he brought.
Absolutely.
Should we help him? Then eventually. Great.
I've got to say goodbye. Natalie, thank you.
It was so great to talk to you. Thank you.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon to keep up to date. You can listen to my Radio 1 movies and TV podcast, Screen Time, on BBC Sounds. And you can find these interviews in full on BBC iPlayer by searching Movies with Ali Plumb.